3 minutes deep.
गजाननं भूतगणादिसेवितं कपितजम्बूफलसारभक्षणम् उमासुतं शोकविनाशकारणम् नमामि विघ्नेश्वरे पारपङ्कजम् शुक्लाम्बरधरं देवं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नावरणं ध्याये सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये मनोजवं मारुततुल्यवेगं जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं वातात्मजं वानरयोक्तमुख्यं श्रीरामदूतं शिरसा नमामि यत्र यत्र रघुनाथकीर्तनं तत्र तत्र कृतमस्तकाञ्जलिं वाष्वारि परिपूर्णलोचनं मारुतिं नमत राक्षसान्तकम् ओम सिद्धि बुद्धि प्रदे देवी मुक्ति मुक्ति प्रदायिनी मंत्र मूर्ति सदा देवी महालक्ष्मी नमोस्तुते वसुदेव सुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम् मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुवन्ति दिव्यैः सर्वैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्त्यं सामगा ध्यानावश्यक तद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यशान्तं न विघ्नस्त्रासुरगणः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः. My dear friends, Sitaram. This is our second satsang, as we promised on Wednesday night, and tonight we focus on Hanumanji. Hanumanji is worshipped there in our country and across the world, particularly on Tuesdays and Saturdays. And Hanumanji is perhaps one of the greatest, if not the greatest, bhakta, devotees of Bhagwan Sri Ram, who was always in the service of Sri Ram. And one remembers with great delight, with great hope, and is inspired by the incident in the Ramayana, where Hanumanji was sent by Bhagwan Sri Ram into the Himalayas in order to find the Sanjeevani brought revived. Lakshmana had been struck by the arrow of Meghnath. When Hanumanji went to seek this Sanjeevani herb, he was not sure which of the herbs on the mountainside was the Sanjeevani. And not wanting to waste any time, he took the entire mountain and brought it so that the physician who was attending to Lakshman, could have identified and used the herb to revive Lakshmana. Bhagwan Sri Ram had a lot of faith in Hanumanji. And Bhagwan Sri Ram, in this incident, by sending Hanumanji, sends a very loud and clear message to all of us that no matter what our positions may be in life, we still have to depend on others who have specific talents, who have a specific intelligence in order to carry out certain tasks for our benefit. Demonstrating that we all depend on one another and that we live in an interdependent world. The Sanjeevani herb, part of the creation of nature, was required. Hanumanji, who had the special ability to fly and to do so very quickly, was chosen by Sri Ram, and Sasena, the physician, was chosen to administer it. Let us learn from this very beautiful incident in the Ramayana that we live interdependently and not independently. And therefore we must always live with an attitude of gratitude to each other. And we must always have reverence for nature, reverence for the environment, which is the source of even the life-giving herb, the Sanjeevani. Tonight, in praise of that Sri Hanumanji, we begin with the Hanuman Chalisa. Sri Guru Charana Saroja Raja Nijamana Mukura Sudhari Varano Raghubara Vimala Yasha Jodhaya Kapalachari Buddhahina Nujanike Sumiro Pavana Kumar Balabudi Vidya Dehu Mohi Arahu Kalesha Vikar. Jai Hanuman Gyan Gun Sagar Jai Kapish Guru Ujagar Rama Duta Tulit Baladhama Ranjani Putra Pavan Satanama Mahavira Vikram Vajarangi Umati Nivayu Sumat Ke Sangi Kanchana Varna Viraj Sanesha Gana Gandhara Kunchita Kesha Mata Vajra Vaja Viraje Kante Saje Shankara Samarati Shri Nanda Teja Pratapa Mahajagavanda Vidyaman Guni Ati Chatur Rama Kaj Karime Ko Atur Prabhu Charitra Suni Veko Rasya Rama Latana Sita Manapasya Sushma Rupa Dhari Siya Nidikava Vikata Rupa Dhari Lanka Jarava Prema Rupa Dhari Asura Samhare Ramachandra ke kaaj samare, laye sajeevan lakhan jiyaye, Shri Raghuveer Shri Laye, Raghupati ki ne bahut baraye, tum priya bhartai samaaye, sahasa badan tumharo yas gaave, as kahi Shripati kanna lagave, Sadikadik Brahmadi Munisha, Narad Sharad Sahi Mahisha, Yamkubeer Dikpal Jahate, Kavi Kovid Kai Sate Kahani, Tumukar Suprema Hikira, Ram Milay Raj Padadima, Tumharo Viveshanamana, Lankeshwar Bhaya Sab Jag Jana, Yuga Sahasra Jojan Parapanu, Lilutahi Madhur Bal Janu, Prabhu Mutrika Mein Mahi, Jaladiland Gaya Charachanahi, Durgam Kaj Jagat Ki Jiti, Sunamadu Grahatam Riti, Ramaduari Tumratwari, Utana Aja Min Paisari, Sab Sangala Hai Tumhari Sharana, Tumrakshat Kahu Dharna, Aapne Kesha Samharo Aapne, Tino Loka Hath Ke Taape, Bhut Pishat Nikat Nahi Aave, Aapne Jap Naam Sunave, Nasai Rog Hare Samveera, Jap Nirantara Hanuman Veera, Sangat Se Hanuman Churave, Madhya Vachana Jnana Churave, Sab Par Ram Tapasvi Raja, Inke Kaaj Sakal Gun Saja, Aur जो कोई लावे सोए अमित जीवन फल पावे। चारों जुग परिताप तुम्हारा, है प्रसिद्ध जगत उजियारा। साधु संत के तुम रखवारे, असुर निकंदन राम दुलारे। अष्ट सिद्धि नौ निधि के दाता, असवर दीन जानकी माता। राम रसायन तुम्हारे भाषा, सदा रघुपति के दासा। करो भजन राम को पावे, जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावे। अंत काल रघुवर पुर जाई, जहाँ जन्म हरि भक्त कहाई। और देवता चित्तन धरहि, हनुमत से सर्व सुख करहि। संकट कटे मिटे सब पीरा, जो सुमिरे हनुमत बलबीरा। जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई, कृपा करहु गुरुदेव की नाई। जो शत बार पाठ कर कोई, जो जीवन की महासुख होई। जो यहाँ पढ़े हनुमान चालीसा, होए सिद्धि साखी गौरीसा। तुलसीदास सदा हरिचेरा, कीजय नाथ हृदय महादेवा। कीजय नाथ हृदय महादेवा, कीजय नाथ हृदय महादेवा। पवन तनय संकट हरन, मंगल मूर्ति रूप। राम लखन सीता सहित, हृदय बसहु सुरभूप। सियावर रामचंद्र की जय, पवन सुत हनुमान की जय। लाई संजीवन लखन जियाई, श्री रघुवीर हर्षि उर लाए। You obtained the life-giving Sanjeevani herb from Dronagiri. Giri means mountain, by which the life of Lakshman was saved. And because of this great feat and this great service of yours to Sri Ram, Sri Raghuvira Harashi Udalai, Bhagavan Sri Ram joyously clasped you to his heart and cried, O Hanuman, you are dear to me as my brother Bharat. You are dear to me as my brother Bharat. Such was the way that Bhagavan Sri Ram loved Hanumanji, because of how Hanumanji served him and served him so selflessly. Let us join now in this wonderful bhajan that praises Sri Hanuman. हरो हनुमान महाप्रभु, जो कछु संकट हुए हमारो। कौन सो संकट मोर गरीब को, जो तुमसे नहीं जाते नतारो। जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई। Hanuman Gosai, Kripa karo Jai 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 Hanuman Gosai, Kripa karo जन्म जन्म की प्यास हमारी, जन्म जन्म की प्यास हमारी. From birth to birth, it has been like this. प्यास हमारी, तू ही बुझावनहार, तू ही बुझावनहार. Fulfill, O Lord, the thirst of mine. ले चल प्रभु जी के द्वार मनवा. O mine, O मनवा, take me to the doorway where I shall be met and greeted by God. चला प्रभु जी के द्वार मनवा, चला प्रभु जी के द्वार, चला प्रभु जी के द्वार मनवा, चला प्रभु जी के द्वार. जन्म जन्म की प्यास हमारी, जन्म जन्म की प्यास हमारी. पूजा मनहार मनवार, चल प्रभु जी के द्वार, चला प्रभु जी के द्वार मनवार, चला प्रभु जी के द्वार. Jnana Dina, Jnana Dina. I have given many gifts, Lord. I have performed a lot of jnana, meditation, japa. Tell me how I may cross this ocean of existence, from the banks of sorrow to the banks of joy, from the banks of unhappiness to the banks and to the shore of joy and peace. Jnana Dina, Jnana Dina, Jnana Dina, Jnana Dina, Jnana Dina. Haridwar, Ganga, or Kashi. These are places of religious and spiritual value to which devotees travel. Well, the devotees say, I've traveled to all of these places. But please, Lord, having traveled there, please show me the way still. Haridwar, Ganga, Kashi. Haridwar, Kashi, सब तीरथ है प्रभु चरणन में, सब तीरथ है प्रभु चरणन में, शाली राम बलिहार प्रभु जी गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधान मन हरि गोविंद जय गोपाल जय जय गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय गोविंद जय गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधान मन हरि गोविंद जय जय गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधान मन हरि गोविंद जय जय गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधान मन हरि गोविंद जय जय गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधान मन हरि गोविंद जय। And so tonight, continuing from where we left off last week, tonight I'm going to share with you something that I wrote quite a couple of years ago. In fact, in 2012, this little book that I call Lessons Hanuman Taught, in which it contains about 30 short discourses on what Hanumanji taught us through his life examples and with his interactions in particular with Sri Ram. And tonight's lesson is entitled Forever Trust God. Forever Trust God. But you know, Bhagwan Sri Ram makes a very important promise to us, to his devotees, in a conversation he had with Hanumanji. When he heard from Hanumanji on Hanuman from Lanka, where Hanuman sent again on the important mission of finding about the whereabouts of Sita and reporting to Sri Ram. In fact, Sri Ram always trusted Hanumanji with these important tasks because he valued Hanuman's intelligence and he valued Hanumanji's commitment to duty. You remember what Hanumanji said to the mountain when the mountain rose to give him rest? He said to the mountain, he said, how can I rest until the work of Sri Ram has been completed? And in this wonderful verse in Ramayana, Bhagwan Sri Ram, when he heard about the trials and tribulations, or what I call the woes, which Sita was facing in Lanka, this is what he said to Hanuman. Sunu Sita Dukha Prabhu Sukha Ayana. Suni Sita Dukha. Dukha means sorrows. Suni Sita Dukha Prabhu Sukha Ayana. Prabhu Sukha Ayana. The eyes of Prabhuji, the eyes of the Lord, became filled with tears when he heard of the situation which Sita faced, the trials and tribulations which Hanuman described to him. And then he said, Bhari aaye jalarajivanayana. Lotus eyes of the Lord filled with tears. He said, Vachana kaya mama gati jahi, sapanehu bhujiya bipati kita. Do you think, Hanumanji, he asked, do you think that anyone who comes to me for refuge and does so faithfully with me in their thoughts, upon the lips, and in the actions they perform, would that person ever dream of meeting with adversities? This is the promise of God. He said to Hanumanji, do you think that anyone who comes to me for refuge in thought, word, and deed can ever dream of meeting with adversities? This is the promise of God. If you trust God and if you go to God and you come to him for refuge, and your thoughts, your deeds, and your words are centered upon him, in service to him, he said, can such a devotee, can such a person ever dream of meeting adversities? And Hanumanji simply answered, Kaha Hanumanta Bipati Prabhu Soi, Jabata Vasumirana Bhajanam Hoi. There is no misfortune, said Hanuman, other than ceasing to remember you and to adore you. Forever trust God, because God promises that whoever comes to him in thought, word, and deed, facing whatever adversity they face, he is not going to turn his back upon them, but he is going to help them. He's going to remove the adversities, the difficulties they face. You see, you may be suffering from certain karmic effects. Karma is real. The deeds we have done in the past are beginning to bear fruits in this life. But our God is a God of grace. Our God is a God full of kripa, mercy. And those of us who turn to God faithfully in thought, word, and deed, God says, such a person shall not meet with adversity. God will help remove those adversities. In other words, the question arises whether karma is final. Whether what you have done will come to pass and you will suffer, yes, but God is merciful and God will intercede in the life of a devotee who seeks to do good. When he says, who comes to me in thought, word, and in meaning, who serves him by serving all creation in terms of what we say and what we do and how we think. And God is the one who will forgive, for God is a merciful God. He's not a God that pushes us down into some hell, as so many other faiths will make us believe. But God is always there to lift us up, to lift us up. But we must remember the words of Bhagavad Gita also, that the man is his own friend by his own actions, or his own enemy also by his own actions. But let me make the point again. God in Hinduism is a merciful God. God in Hinduism is a loving God. God in Hinduism is a forgiving God. God always gives us the opportunity to redeem ourselves. Redemption is a function of repentance. Redemption is a function of surrender. Now, so forever trust God. And in Kishkinda Khan, Hanumanji, on his first meeting with Bhagwan Sri Ram, uttered words that signified the trust that he had in the Lord. And in a wonderful comparison that calls to mind the relationship between a parent and a child, and between a servant and a master, Hanuman reminds us of what it means to trust God. Sevak sutapati matu bharose rahaiya socha banay prabhu pose. Now this is a verse from that famous prayer of Hanumanji when he prayed to Bhagwan Sri Ram. In one of the verses, he said, Sevaka sutapati matu bharose raheya socha banay prabhu pose. What does this mean? Hanuman said in his prayer to Sri Ram, you know the prayer? Jarapinat bahu Avagunamore Sevak Sutapati Matu Bharose. Sevak Sutapati Matu Bharose. Rahiya Socha Banai Prabhu Pose. Hanumanji said, it is because of his confidence in his master that a servant feels quite safe, quite self-assured, quite careful. Because of the confidence that a servant has in his master, that servant feels safe, self-assured, as does a child also feel safe who trusts its mother. A master, said Hanuman, must take care of his servant. And Hanuman declares his trust in God by saying to him, the servant feels assured that the master will take care of him, as is the duty of a master. Similarly, he says, a child feels safe and secure because that child trusts the parent, particularly the mother. So one also recalls the question, asked by Lakshman of his brother Sri Ram when he wanted to accompany Sri Ram to the forest. Lakshman always consulted his brother Sri Ram before acting. And on that occasion, when Ram was a bit reluctant to take Lakshman into the forest, unless Lakshman had the permission of his own mother, Lakshman asked Sri Ram a question that melted the heart of Sri Ram. It was a question that melted the heart of Sri Ram because he recognized not only Lakshman's love for him, not only Lakshman's attitude towards him as a servant, Lakshman always served him, but Lakshman's complete trust in him. Just as Hanuman says, a servant trusts a master and a child trusts a mother. He says, Lord, so I trust you. So I trust you. You are the master, I'm the servant. You are the mother, I'm the child. Or you are the parent, I'm the child. And here we also see the same kind of thing in the relationship between Lakshman and Ram. Ram recognized, you'll see in this question, his heart melted when Lakshman asked him this question. He recognized not only Lakshman's love, not only Lakshman's attitude towards him as a servant, but Lakshman's complete trust is in him. In this beautiful doha. Utaruna avat prema basa gahe charan akulai नाथ दास मैं स्वामी तुम्हार तजहु न कहा बसाई श्री राम श्री राम श्री राम श्री राम. Join me in two lines of this very beautiful stuti. Shri Ram Chandra Kripalu Ajuman Harana Bhavabaranam Navakanjalochana Kanjanmukhamana Kanjapadkanjanam Shri Ram Shri Ram Shri Ram Shri Ram. Overpowered by love, Lakshman said, Lord, Lakshman is holding on to his feet in anguish. He's thinking my brother would not take me with him. So he says, Lord, I am your slave and you are my master. If you abandon me, what can I do? I am your slave. You are my master. If you abandon me, my brother, what can I do? And then, in a further statement, Lakshmana asked Sri Ram the question that only a trusting devotee asks of the Lord. Listen to music. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram And what really melted the heart of Sri Ram was when Lakshman said to him, first he said, Lord, you are the master, I'm the servant, I'm the slave, I'm your slave. If you abandon me, what can I do? And then he said to Sri Ram, he said, should one, my Lord, should one who is devoted to your feet in thought, word, and deed ever be discarded? Should one who has complete faith and trust in you, should that one ever be discarded? Oh, ocean of grace, oh, ocean of mercy. Kripa Sindhu, he described it. Kripa Sindhu, Kripa, mercy, Sindhu, ocean. You're the ocean of mercy, you're the ocean of grace. See, I told you earlier, our Lord is not a Lord that pushes you into hell. Our Lord is a loving God. Kripa Sindhu says, if one is devoted to you in thought, word, and deed, should such a person ever be discarded, O ocean of mercy, O ocean of grace? And it was when Lakshman asked that question that Sri Ram relented and asked him, go and seek permission from your mother to accompany me to the forest. And that, that's a very interesting little incident there, Ram was not just ready to take Lakshman with him to the forest. Ram wanted to be sure that Lakshman was the obedient child and that Lakshman would get the permission of his mother before he took him. Just look at the elevated values by which Hindus lived at that time and hopefully even at this time. You see, we have those values gone, in terms of our own existences in Hindu homes. The servant who loves God, the servant who trusts God is never abandoned by God. And, we were speaking of the coronavirus, novel coronavirus, COVID-19 last week. And I was saying to you, now is a time when we must turn to God. where we must turn to Kripa Sindhu, the ocean of mercy. Because we realize now that there's nothing in our midst that has been created by man that can really save man from the coronavirus. And therefore man has to appeal to a higher power. And therefore this is why I'm reading this katha also, about trust in God. What is trust? What is trust? The meaning of trust is essentially that of having complete confidence in another person as a result of the perceived integrity, ability, or character of that person. It is about committing oneself to the care and custody of another and doing so with confidence that one will not be misled, but that one will be treated with honesty and dignity. And this is why, I use that verse where Hanumanji began to speak about Ram, he being the servant, and Bhagwan Sri Ram being the master. Or, he's talking about the mother and child relationship and the trust that the child has in the mother, the trust that the child has in the parent. Brothers and sisters, in the Mahabharata, we are very familiar with the story of how Lord Krishna saved Draupadi from shame at the hands of the Kauravas. And that is a story of trust and faith in God, and God's commitment to respond to that expression of faith and trust in Him. You remember the legend in Mahabharata, where Bhagwan Krishna loved Draupadi so much that he called her Sakhi. Draupadi too had a lot of faith in Krishna. She prayed to him with utmost devotion. And during the great battle of Mahabharata, Lord Krishna celestial weapon as Shishupal in order to punish him for numerous sins. And during the act of hurling the Sudarshan Chakra from his index finger, Krishna hurt himself. And on seeing drops of blood, Draupadi rushed immediately to protect her lord. And she did so by tearing off a piece of hasari and wrapping it around his finger to stop the bleeding. Lord Krishna was touched by that, touched by her gesture of devotion and pure love. And he asked her then, what would you like in return for this favor that you have done for me? And Draupadi, like a true sister, just asked the Lord for one thing. She said, Lord, I want you like a true sister and a brother to me. I want your presence in my life forever. And from that moment on, Lord Krishna was with Draupadi, protecting her like a shadow, protecting her from every small trouble, every big trouble. And you remember then when the Kauravas tried to dishonor Draupadi through the incident called Shiraharan, removing her sari, in the presence of the hall full of people, she prayed to Krishna continuously. And Krishna never abandoned her. He took care of her by providing her with yards and yards of cloth and punished the sinners during the battle of Mahabharata. When one trusts God, and this is the message tonight, God responds. When one surrenders to God, God responds. How then is this love of God to be received? How is this love of God to be received? The words of Ram to Vibhishan are instructive in this regard, in this doha. Saguna upasak parahita nirat niti dridhanema tenar prana samana mama jinhake drija pad prem Shri Ram Jai Jai Ram 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 Jai Jai Ram, Siya Ram. Jai Jai Ram, Siya Ram. Jai Jai Ram, Siya Ram. Saguna upasaka parahita nirata niti tadhanim tena da prana samana mama jinake dvijapadate. How is this love of God to be received? How would you get this love of God? How will you win God's love? The answer is given to us in this beautiful doha. Saguna upasaka parahita. Those persons who worship my personal form, Murti worship. The Lord himself invites you. Those who worship my personal form and devote themselves to doing good to others, who firmly walk the path of righteousness and are firm in their vows and love the feet of the holy ones, are dear to me as my own life. What Sri Ram enunciates here are the behaviors that bring about the love of God, that wins the affection of God, that makes God give you prema, bestow upon you prema. Those men who worship my personal form. His love is evoked by proper behavior. So the first thing is to worship him, to have faith in him, to trust him. You can worship him very simply by the performance of arti. You can worship him by the performance of japa. You can worship him though by how he wants in the next line. Those who worship my personal form and, he doesn't say but, and devote themselves to doing good to others. So it's not just about worshipping his personal form, but that worship must be translated into doing good to others. In other words, one must bestow daya on others, compassion. One must be charitable, dan to others. So doing good to others is perhaps more important than just the worship of a personal form. But the worship of this personal form must motivate you, must inspire you to understand that he is to be found in all creation. He told Hanuman, where he's to be found. He says, then the entire creation is my form, Hanuman. Moving and moving. The entire creation is my form. I am the creation. I manifest as the creation. So if the Lord is to be worshipped, he's to be worshipped everywhere. Everywhere should be seen as a manifestation of God. So worship my personal form. You have to take it in a little bigger context and devote doing good to others. But that is not enough. Thirdly, you must walk the path of righteousness. You must be consistent in the practice of dharma. And you must be consistent in your faith, steadfast in your vow. And you must love the feet of the holy ones. In other words, you must respect. You must respect the teachers, the gurus. And here we interpret guru not only spiritually, but all teachers. Such a person, he says, is dear to me as my own life. These are the behaviors that win the affection of God. In other words, trust should be supported by moral action. Trust should be supported by moral action. And this is the message that I wanted to bring to you tonight. This is the message that I wanted to share with you tonight. The message of Hanumanji and how he trusted, how he loved God and how God, in fact, loved him. And this is a time in the world when we too must trust God. And we too must seek the mercy of God. We too must seek the presence of God in our own lives. Because we live at a time when we need to do so. Tonight I share with you the prayer of Hanuman. When Hanuman prayed to Sri Ram, he said, my Lord, my limitations are many, my defects are many, but please don't turn your face away from me. Don't cast me into oblivion. Don't don't forget me, O Lord. Jalapinat bahu avaguna more sevak prabhu hi parai jani nath jeevata maya moha सोनिस तरई तुम्हारे ही तापर में रघु वीर दुहाई जानऊ नहीं कछु भजनऊ सेवक सुतपति मातु भरोसे रही असोचा मनई प्रभु श्री राम जय जय राम 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 श्री राम जय राम श्री Jarapinath bahu avaguna more, sevaka prabhi parai jani bole. My Lord, my limitations are many, my defects are many. But please, I ask you this evening, don't turn your face away from me. Don't cast me into oblivion. Don't forget me. Nath jivatava maya moha so nistarai tumhare icho. All of those attitudes and negative behaviors and beliefs that prevent me from having a genuine spiritual experience with you, kindly help me to remove these negative aspects of my being. Shower your grace upon me to remove my ignorance of you and of myself. Tapar mai raghuvira dohai janavu nahi kachu bhajan upai. I swear, God, that I do not know how to approach you. I do not know what devotional songs to sing to express my love for you. I know of no other means to please you. I seek your forgiveness. I seek your compassion. I come before you as a child goes before a loving parent, and a servant goes before a trusting master. Dear God, have mercy on me. Have mercy on me. Ram Kripa, Ram Kripa, Ram Kripa. Vaishnav jan ko mene kahi meera parai jaan Vaishnav jan ko mene kahi meera parai jaan Upar kare mere man abhiman Kamala Raghunandan, Kamala Raghunandan, Mandochara Kamala Raghunandan, Mandochara Kamala Raghunandan, Kamala Raghunandan, Let me translate that verse today. The verse which I really want to close tonight's satsang. Jinaki kripa sakala sukha sampatti pavata jana bhaktana or chandan bando charan kamal raghunadan. Through his grace, Jinaki kripa sakala sukha sampatti. Devotees obtain happiness and prosperity. Devotees of God experience the soothing effect in their hearts. I adore your feet, O Sri Ram, the divine son of the darkness. Avadapuri Prabhu Nitya Virajata. Avadapuri Prabhu Nitya Virajata. Janaka Sutta Yuddha Doshna Nikandan. Janaka Sutta Yuddha Doshna Nikandan. Teen means tree. The compassionate Lord removes the three types of afflictions from all of us. Physical afflictions, divine and worldly. But most importantly, he removes fear, and especially the fear of birth and death. My dear friends, as we close tonight, I want to tell you about how you must have trust and faith in God and the importance of performing the pujas to God. Many of you will recall that maybe about 8 years or 9 years ago, there was a very, very bad drought in this country, very bad drought. And I researched about this drought and came up with the conclusion that we needed to do in this country a Varuna Puja. And I went to Pandit Kumar at the Lakshmi Narayan temple because I know that he is very, very good at the rituals and how to perform the rituals and to build the Bedi and do everything that's necessary. Pandit Kumar is a very, very good, good Pandit, very, very good Pandit, very versed. And he agreed to perform this puja. And, hundreds gathered that night at the Lakshmi Narayan temple to perform this puja. And during the puja, the clouds started to gather and it actually drizzled there at the Lakshmi Narayan temple. And then a couple of days after, the rains came. And if you offer to God as a community with trust and faith in God, God responds. In this situation we face now, in the coronavirus situation, I make an appeal, as I've been appealing over the last few days, to several of the renowned Pandits, that I think we need to do in this country a Ketu Graha Puja, in order to pacify the planets that are upon us and what is happening out there in the planetary world. And tonight I throw it out to the various Pandits who know how to do this Ketu Graha Puja, that maybe we should perform this Ketu Graha Puja as a community. And when we perform this puja, I also want to urge the Pandits who are doing it. There is television that is available, and that we can in fact utilize television, that in every Hindu home in this country, a Havan will be performed simultaneously with someone leading this Havan from a studio or some location for its broadcast live, that every home, the entire Hindu community, can make this important contribution to pacify the planets, to pacify the gods and the goddesses who are upset with us in this world. I throw that out, and I invite our Pandits, our leading Hindu organizations, to please think about it carefully. Tvameva Mata Sapita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Tvaminam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Bhurvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayam. Masato ma Sadgamaya, Namaso ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Syavar Ramachandra ki jai, Pavan Putra Hanuman ki jai, Bolo Sab Sant ki jai, Jai Shri